Okay, let's dive right in. When we think about suffering, mental health, the path to healing, often we look at the surface things, right?
Exactly. Biology, your environment, stuff that happens in life.
Yeah.
The usual suspects.
But what if there's something deeper? A spiritual layer, maybe, that's influencing everything, our well-being, even our destiny.
Well, that's precisely what we're exploring today. We're digging into a really fascinating source. It offers a perspective from beyond the physical. It's excerpts from Nu Mundo Mayor, or In the Greater World.
By Francisco Candido Xavier, through the spirit, Andre Luis.
That's the one.
Oh.
And it's not just a book, really. It's more like an exploration. It dives into how the spiritual realm works and how it connects deeply with our human life, especially, the causes and cures for mental and emotional struggles.
So our mission today for you listening is to pull out the key insights from this. We'll look at some, frankly, surprising ideas about the unseen world, how past actions might echo in our present.
And the power of things like love and work, but maybe not in the way we usually think about them.
Exactly. It's about giving you a shortcut to understanding a truly, out-of-this-world view of our inner lives. So, starting with that foundation, let's talk about the mind itself. It presents a really unique model of the brain, doesn't it?
It really does. It's quite visual, actually. It talks about our cerebral organization, a bit of a technical term, but imagine it's like a 3-story house.
Okay, a house.
Yeah. So the basement is the initial brain. That's where all the subconscious stuff is stored, instincts, automatic movements, but also all our past experiences, even small things from previous lives.
Wow. Okay. So that's the foundation.
Then you've got the middle floor, the developed brain. This is our conscious mind, the engine room for our current life, our motor energies for, doing things right now.
Our present awareness and actions.
Exactly. And then the upper floor, this is the frontal lobes. This holds the really sublime stuff, the higher vibrational qualities we gain as we evolve spiritually. It's described as the nobler part of our divine nature, still developing.
So it's like we're literally carrying our past, present, and future potential all within this spiritual structure. It's not just physical tissue.
That's the idea. It's a spiritual archive of our entire journey.
But then how does this tie into mental distress if our brain has this spiritual dimension?
Well, it raises a crucial question. If the physical brain can get ill,
can the spiritual mind get sick too?
Precisely. The text is quite direct. It says things like perversity is madness, revolt is ignorance, and despair is illness.
So it's linking character flaws or spiritual states directly to mental conditions.
Yes, it suggests many forms of what we call mental alienation actually stem from an unbalanced mind, often due to a blindness of spirit, like a lack of spiritual awareness or insight into why we're suffering.
And there was thinking about spiritual chemistry too. That sounds fascinating. Harder to replace elements because the soul needs to record experiences?
Yeah, it hints at a deeper level of interaction within the brain, a kind of spiritual chemistry, where the processes are tied to the soul's need to learn and integrate experiences. It suggests these elements, perhaps related to memory or consciousness, are less easily manipulated than purely physical chemicals because they're intertwined with the soul's journey. It's intricate stuff.
It really is. And that leads us to healing, right? If the causes are potentially spiritual, what about the solutions?
Well, this is where the source makes a pretty bold statement. It emphasizes that knowledge can do very little compared to love.
Love over knowledge.
Yeah.
That's a powerful claim. How does that actually work in practice, according to this?
We see it beautifully demonstrated through one of the key figures in the book, a spiritual guide named Sister Cipriana. Her approach is all about love.
Okay, let's unpack that with some examples. There's the story of Pedro, right? A patient with severe nervous tension.
Intense, yeah. And he's being pursued spiritually by Camilo.
The man Pedro murdered.
Exactly. They're described as viscerally bound, like they're tied together at the deepest level, exchanging these toxic thoughts and emotions constantly, both suffering terribly.
And the spiritual assistants, Calderaro and Andre Luis, they try to help.
They do. Calderaro mentions he can provide external beneficial help, sort of like applying a spiritual balm. But he admits something crucial. He and Andre don't have the depth of love required to get to the deep causes of this entanglement.
Their intervention is limited.
Right. And that's when Cipriana steps in. The text describes her as radiating this divine love. It's palpable.
And she doesn't just, treat the symptom?
No, she goes straight to the heart of it. She speaks directly to Pedro's remorse, acknowledging his atonement efforts, but also to Camilo's consuming need for vengeance. She even shows Camilo how his quest for revenge is hurting his own family back on Earth.
Wow. holding up a mirror to the consequences.
Exactly. And she gives Camilo this key phrase: pain expands life, sacrifice liberates it.
Pain expands, sacrifice liberates.
And hearing this from her with that energy of love, it triggers a spiritual awakening in Camilo. He understands, he forgives, and that act of forgiveness breaks the obsessive link.
So the healing wasn't about fixing Pedro or punishing Camilo, but about fostering forgiveness through love, which liberated both of them.
That's the core message. True soul healing comes through understanding and forgiveness, fueled by that higher love.
There's another story, too, about Canada and Julieta.
Yes, very poignant. Canada is a dying mother, and her daughter Julieta is desperate to pay the medical bills. She resorts to night work, described as being in a dance hall, which takes a heavy toll.
Leading to Julieta's own decline, mentally and physically.
Right. Her inner conflict creates these destructive forces affecting her brain, her organs, potentially leading to tuberculosis or liver problems, the text suggests.
And Calderaro makes a tough call here.
Extremely tough. He decides to actually maintain her physical illness to keep her too weak for the night activities, because those are causing even deeper spiritual harm.
That's intense. Using illness as a protective measure, spiritually speaking.
It shows how complex these interventions can be. But again, the real turning point is Cipriana.
What does she do?
She intervenes spiritually while Julieta and her partner Paulino are asleep. She works on their spirits, fostering a sense of responsibility and commitment in Paulino.
And it works.
It does. Paulino wakes up, resolved to marry Julieta, to take care of her properly. It's shown as this direct consequence of Cipriana's loving spiritual influence, completely shifting their earthly path.
Another example of love fundamentally changing a situation where other means might fail.
Absolutely. It underscores that idea that love is the most potent force for transformation.
This connects to another major theme, doesn't it? The idea of karma, or cause and effect across lives.
Yes, very strongly. The source talks about suffering not just as punishment, but as a process of liberation, a way to work through things.
How does it put it? Our past actions.
They impose modifications in our representative framework. Basically, what we did in the past shapes our current spiritual and even physical makeup, setting the stage for our present experiences.
And we see this playing out in several other cases they describe.
Definitely. Take Marcelo. He's a young man with epileptoid phenomena, like seizures.
But the source says it's not just physical.
Right. They're described as reflex actions of the soul, stemming from past misdeeds. And interestingly, his condition gets worse just by being near people he wronged in a past life.
Just proximity triggers it.
Simple reapproximation, the text calls it, which suggests these deep energetic ties. And his healing, therefore, isn't just about drugs.
It's about
faith, self-confidence, worthy work, and ennobling thoughts. Things operating from the highest zone of the personality. It emphasizes self-healing through spiritual effort.
Then there's Fabricio, diagnosed as schizophrenic. What's his story, according to the source?
His condition is traced back to past lives where he apparently abused personal magnetism.
Personal magnetism, like charisma, influence.
Some kind of spiritual influence or power, yes. And he misused it, leading to vengeful spirits pursuing him now. His state is called a punitive affliction, a direct consequence.
So what happens to him?
It's quite drastic. The spiritual helpers, seeing his potential descent into total madness, arrange what they call a dignified death. They induce a thrombosis.
He induces death?
As an act of compassion to prevent deeper suffering and spiritual damage. But here's the really mind-bending part.
Okay.
They reveal that Fabricio's current grandson is actually his own father from that past life, reincarnated specifically to help him to balance out their karmic connection.
Wow. The grandson is the father, reincarnated. That's layers upon layers of connection.
It shows the incredible complexity and, well, the long game of karmic balancing and reincarnation as presented here.
Let's talk about Antonina. She's suicidal after being betrayed.
Yes, feels completely abandoned after years of self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
A very relatable human crisis.
But she receives spiritual help.
She does. Her spiritual mother and another guide appear to her. They remind her, we are not orphans, that divine support is always there. They urge her to choose the narrow gate, the path of struggle, which is ultimately more rewarding spiritually.
So it's about finding purpose and love beyond just conventional relationships.
Exactly. It highlights that spiritual connection and purpose can sustain us, echoing how figures like Jesus found fulfillment in a boundless love, not confined to typical family structures.
And finally, Intidio, the alcoholic man.
Right, plagued by these vampiric spirits. entities literally described as feeding off his negative alcohol-fueled emanations. He's spiraling